Back in 1968, my life was like that of any other second-grade girl growing up in sunny California. I, Tali Shapiro, was just 8 years old. I remember feeling rather special as I wore a handmade dress, crocheted with care by my nanny. My walk to school took me along the iconic Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles, a city filled with dreams and, unbeknownst to me, lurking dangers. Without warning, a car pulled up next to me. The man inside, with a disarmingly friendly demeanor, leaned out and showed me a beautiful picture. He offered to drive me to school. I was taken aback. I had always been told not to talk to strangers, and I remember my little voice squeaking out that rule as a response to him. But he didn't drive away. Instead, he kept trailing me, slowly crawling beside me as I walked further. He broke the uncomfortable silence by claiming that he knew my parents. There was a sense of unease, a knot in my stomach, that told me not to trust him. But my parents always taught me to respect adults. So, despite my instincts, I got into the car. I still remember the feeling of the cool leather seat against my skin as I climbed in, a sense of foreboding washing over me. He casually asked me when my school started, and when he found out there was still time, he suggested a detour to show me a poster. I was a trusting child. I didn't know about the sinister side of humanity. So, I complied. However, my unease turned into full-blown fear when he wanted to stop by his apartment. My heart pounded in my chest. I remember the sensation of panic gripping me as the buildings outside whizzed by in a blur. Upon arrival, the man hurried me from the car and into his apartment. The smell of the place was a mix of stale air and something else I couldn't quite identify. He ordered me to take off my clothes. The sudden command startled me, and a raw, primal fear clawed its way up my spine. I didn't know what was happening, and I felt lost, confused, and terrified. Before I could fully grasp the situation, he lunged at me. His hands were cold and unyielding as they roughly pulled at my clothes, discarding them haphazardly. I was shoved onto the cold, hard floor. The feeling of vulnerability, the coldness seeping into my skin, is still vivid in my mind. He was relentless and powerful, making my attempts at resistance seem futile. He was a predator, and I was his prey, cornered and helpless. My fear escalated when he pressed a metallic rod to my throat, starting to strangle me. Each breath became a struggle, air greedily sucked into my lungs through the narrow passage he allowed. As he continued his brutal assault, I began fading in and out of consciousness. The room seemed to spin, and my ears were filled with a distant ringing sound. In my half-conscious state, I heard something. It was a faint noise at first, gradually getting louder. Someone was banging on the apartment door. Suddenly, the door was kicked open. A police officer had arrived, finding me lying beaten and battered on the floor of this monster's den. But Rodney Alcala, the man who had inflicted this terror upon me, managed to escape out the back door. Despite the horrific ordeal, I survived. Today, I live a peaceful life in Palm Springs, California. The world is undoubtedly a better place without him. I refuse to let the incident define me or overshadow my life. I've moved on, and Alcala's karma has finally caught up with him. I refuse to let the incident define me or overshadow my life. I've moved on, and Alcala's karma has finally caught up with him. I owe my life to the brave individual who had the presence of mind to follow us and call the police when they saw me get into Alcala's car. Their quick action and alertness led to my rescue. Their identity remains a mystery to me, but their actions on that fateful day have made them an eternal hero in my heart.